I was standing in the kitchen, staring at my phone, heart pounding. My savings account, the one I had worked on for years, was almost empty. Over $110,000 gone. That money was everything I had saved since I was 16. I worked every summer, every break, early morning coffee shop shifts, late night scooping ice cream,
skipped outings,
cheap meals, no new clothes. I sacrificed so much.
Just so I could build a future for myself.
Maybe for college, maybe to buy a place, maybe a dream trip.
I didn't know exactly, but I knew it was mine.
Now it was gone. I looked up at Edward, my stepfather, who was sitting at the table flipping through some mail like nothing had happened. "Where's my money?" I asked, trying to stay calm.
He didn't even glance at me.
"Relax, Clarice. I moved it into a better account, higher interest." My jaw dropped. "You moved it?" He finally looked up, like I was overreacting. "You'll thank me later. It's growing faster now." Something about his tone, it was too smooth.
Too dismissive.
"What account?" I asked, sharper now. "Show me." He waved his hand like I was being dramatic. "It's tied up in some obligations right now, but trust me, it's being used well." That's when I knew something was very wrong. I kept pushing all day. Finally, later that evening, I got a real answer. My mom, Margaret, was in the living room when I cornered her. "Mom,
tell me the truth.
Where is my money?" She looked uncomfortable. "It's not as bad as you think." "Then tell me what you did with it." She glanced toward the kitchen, where Edward was making a drink. Then she sighed. "We used it for Emily's tuition." Everything inside me froze. "Emily, your stepdaughter?" Her aid didn't come through. "Clarice, she was going to lose her spot. What were we supposed to do?" I was stunned. "So you just took my money and gave it to her?" "You're young," Edward said, now standing in the doorway. "You can earn it back." Emily needed it now. They didn't even seem sorry. I couldn't sleep that night. I tossed and turned, furious, hurt, betrayed. The money I worked for, gone.
Given to someone who never had to struggle a day in her life.
By morning, I knew what I had to do. I called my best friend, Danny. "They took my money," I told her, my voice shaking. She was furious. "That's theft, Clarice. You need a lawyer." She gave me the number of a law firm.
I called right away.
A lawyer named Rebecca listened as I told her everything. "This is clearly unauthorized use of funds," she said. "We can pursue this legally. Do you have account records?" "I do. I'll send them now." That call changed everything. For the first time, I felt like I had power again, like maybe, just maybe, I could get my money back. Over the next few days,
Danny helped me gather documents and sort through everything.
She was my rock. "I can't believe they thought they'd get away with this," she said, highlighting the transaction that drained my account. "And for Emily, of all people? She's never worked for anything," I said bitterly, "and now they've made me the villain for standing up for myself." Rebecca reviewed all the paperwork. She was confident. "We'll start with a demand letter."
That usually gets people's attention.
Sure enough, 3 days later, the letter was delivered to Edward and Margaret's house. That night, Edward called me. I answered, heart racing. "What the hell is this?" he snapped.
"You got a lawyer involved. You stole my money."
I said calmly, "This is me fighting back." "It was a loan, Clarice." "No, a loan is when someone asks. You just took it." Margaret jumped in from the background. "You're blowing this out of proportion. We did it for Emily." "And what about me?" I said. "Do you know how hard I work for that money?" Edward scoffed. "You're young. You'll earn it back. Stop wasting time." I hung up without another word. Rebecca filed a formal complaint the next day.
She was relentless, and I was grateful.
Word started to spread. Some family members reached out, saying I was overreacting, that it was just money, that family helps each other. I pushed back every time. "Family doesn't steal," I told my aunt during one call. "They could have asked. They didn't."
Danny kept me grounded.
We spent late nights reviewing updates from Rebecca and preparing for what might come next. "They're cracking," she told me. "You're doing the right thing. Keep going." Margaret started sending long, emotional texts. "We didn't mean to hurt you," she wrote. "Can't we just move on?" Another one said, "Emily's education matters. Why are you dragging us through this?" Edward, meanwhile, stayed arrogant, refused to talk to Rebecca, claimed the money was family property. Rebecca wasn't fazed. "Let him dig his own hole," she said. The law's on your side.
I had spent years being the quiet one.
The easy daughter.
The one who never asked for much.
They took that for weakness, but now they were finally seeing who I really was. Someone who doesn't back down. Someone who fights for what's right. And I wasn't stopping until I got every single cent back. The moment everything broke.
It all came crashing down the day Emily finally called me.
I hadn't heard from her in weeks.
Not since I'd started asking questions about the missing money.
Her voice over the phone was sharp, not apologetic, more irritated than anything. "Why are you making such a big deal about this?" she asked. "It's not like you needed the money right away." I froze for a second, stunned that she could sound so casual. Then I snapped. "Do you even hear yourself, Emily? That money wasn't yours. It wasn't Dad's. It wasn't Mom's. It was mine, and you're sitting there benefiting from something that was taken from me, without even asking." She sighed. "Well,
What do you want me to do about it?
I shook my head, angry but calm. "Nothing.
I don't need you to do anything.
I want them to fix it, and they will." The legal showdown. When the court date was finally set, I could tell Edward and Margaret were starting to crack.
Rebecca,
My lawyer had built a solid case, and with all the legal fees and the chance of a judgment against them, they finally agreed to try mediation. In that cold, quiet room, we sat on opposite sides of the table. Edward looked annoyed and stiff. Margaret wouldn't even look me in the eye. Rebecca was calm and professional, her stack of paperwork ready to go. The mediator began, her voice steady. "We're here to resolve the dispute regarding the unauthorized transfer of $10,000 from Clarice's personal account."
Edward leaned forward.
Trying to sound reasonable. "This is a misunderstanding. We didn't steal anything. We just moved the money to help Emily with school. Clarice is young, she'll make that money back." Rebecca didn't even blink. "You transferred money out of her account without her consent," she said flatly.
that's not a misunderstanding.
"That's theft." Edward tried to argue. "It's family money. We all live under one roof. I didn't think I needed permission." Rebecca raised an eyebrow. "Even though the account was in her name and fully funded by her own work?" Margaret finally spoke. "We didn't mean to hurt her. We just thought, maybe she wouldn't notice, or care." I leaned in then, voice calm but cold. "You thought you could steal what I earned and just call it a family decision. That's not how this works."
The turning point.
The mediator guided us through the discussion, but it was clear where it was going. I laid it all out, how I had worked multiple jobs for years, how they lied about moving the money into a better savings account, how they used it for Emily's tuition without even telling me.
Rebecca presented the proof, bank statements,
Text messages, everything.
Edward finally started to crack.
"We didn't think it would be such a big deal," he mumbled. "It is," I said. "It's not just about the money, it's about the trust you broke." The mediator looked at them. "The recommendation is full repayment, including Clarice's legal fees." Edward looked like he'd swallowed glass. "How are we supposed to come up with that kind of money?" I didn't flinch. "Not my problem. You didn't worry about that when you took it from me." Eventually, they agreed. Edward signed the settlement with a clenched jaw. Margaret looked up at me, eyes cloudy with guilt. "We didn't mean for it to come to this," she whispered. "It didn't have to," I said. "You made your choice. I'm just making sure you face it. Healing begins." 2 weeks later, the first payment hit my account. It wasn't the full amount, but it felt like a small win.
For the first time in weeks.
I took a deep breath and felt a little lighter. The next day, Margaret called. Her voice was softer now. "Clarice, we've started making the payments. I hope this means we can move forward."
I paused before answering.
"Paying me back is just the beginning," I said. "Moving on means understanding what you did, and why it was wrong." She sounded tired. "We didn't mean to hurt you."
We thought helping Emily was more important in the moment.
"That's exactly the problem," I said. "You didn't even think about how it would affect me." There was silence on the line. Then, as if trying to wrap it up, she said, "You're young. You have time to rebuild. Can't we just leave this behind us?" I clenched my jaw. "This isn't about being young, it's about respect, and if you don't understand that, we're not ready to move on." A new chapter. That night, my friend Danny came over with wine. "To holding people accountable," she said with a smirk. I raised my glass, to never letting anyone take advantage of me again. The experience had changed me. For years, I'd let their dismissiveness wear me down, but not anymore. Now I knew my worth. A few weeks later, Emily sent a text, a short, awkward apology. I didn't know the money was yours. I'm sorry if I benefited from it. I didn't reply. Whether she knew or not didn't matter. She still reaped the rewards of something that was stolen. Edward never said a word, but he kept sending the payments on time. That was enough. As the months passed and the payments continued, I rebuilt my savings, piece by piece. More than that, I rebuilt myself, my sense of confidence, my pride, my independence. When the final payment hit, I sat quietly in my apartment, sipping a glass of wine. No celebration, just peace. I had fought for what was mine, and I had won. Closure and boundaries.
Margaret called again, her tone more cautious this time.
Clarice, I know things haven't been easy between us. I really hope we can move forward now. I was calm, but firm. Moving forward means you respect me, my money, my choices.
My boundaries.
If you can't do that, there's nothing to move forward to. There was a pause, then she said softly, I'll try, I really will. It wasn't a full apology, but maybe it was a beginning. Looking ahead. Weeks later, Danny and I were back on the balcony, watching the sun go down. So, she said with a grin, what's next for the amazing Clarice? I smiled, I'm not sure, maybe school, maybe investing in something I've always dreamed of, but whatever I do, it'll be on my terms. She raised her glass.
To your terms.
As I fell asleep that night, I thought back on everything, the betrayal, the anger, the fight, the victory. They thought I'd stay quiet because I was family, but I didn't. I stood up, I reclaimed what was mine. And I wasn't afraid anymore.